in phytotherapy research found that drinking spearmint tea, just 2 cups a day, 30 days, significantly reduced free testosterone in women with PCOS, with anecdotal reports of acne improvement.
I saw you make a post about fluoride in water and removing it. What kind of water filters would you recommend to clear it if I don't want fluoride in my water?
It is mass medicating of the United States of America without consent. That's what it is. And it was, I would assume.
Do you think people realize that? That's
No.
that's why it's in the
No,
water?
because it's different.
I heard you talking about reforming school lunches and the changes to SNAP on News Nation. Aren't you worried that people are going to starve if you take away
Oh my gosh.
normal food options?
Wow, a lot to unpack there. What's up, and welcome to the Art of Being Well. We do giveaways for Ask Me Anything episodes, I think.
We do.
It's like a tradition.
That is definitely a
Yep.
tradition. At this point.
Generational
We love it.
tradition. Pass it on. Anyways, we're giving away free healthy stuff for listeners of this episode specifically. We're giving away free supplement protocol stacks that we have at drwillcole.com. We have hormone support, gut health support, skin beauty support, inflammation. What else do we have? Lots of different things. And we're giving away free signed books. You can pick up which one of the 4 that you want, either inflammation spectrum, ketotarian, intuitive fasting, or gut feelings. And we're giving away free functional medicine telehealth consults with the team here,
Yes.
which you know and love. So for a chance to win, head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review The Art of Being Well there. Tell us what you love about the pod. You can leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself, or take a screenshot of that review and message us on Instagram at Dr. Will Cole. And then my team and I will go through the messages on Instagram, as well as read the Apple Podcast reviews themselves. Both works. You don't have to message me on Instagram, but you can. It depends on how you want to do it. And the team will randomly pick winners. Then we'll reach out to you and you can tell us what you want. And all of these Ask Me Anything episodes, we're giving away free healthy stuff. So I know that you love these episodes. So keep your questions coming in, everybody. We added to this beautiful living document, Google Doc, and we get to as many of your health questions as possible. So to submit your health question, it could be about anything within clinical nutrition, functional medicine, wellness, health trends you see on social media, research you've seen, or your specific health case, like things that you want a functional medicine perspective on, things that we see clinically. All you have to do is email hello@drwillcole.com. Again, that's hello@drwillcole.com. And I know Sam on our patient experience team says people are like, when will you answer my question? And we hopefully will knock out as many of them as we can in these episodes. So go back and listen to previous Ask Me Anything episodes for diverse, different topics within health and wellness. We love doing them. And to help me out, every Ask Me Anything episode, we have 2 brilliant members from my functional medicine team. They're functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners, Emily and Andrea.
Hi.
Hello. We need like a little handshake,
Like a little fist bump.
Yeah.
But
It doesn't feel like us though.
No, it doesn't at all.
Whatever.
After all these years being on the podcast, there is this like slight, when I put on, I feel like I make it awkward for you guys. And then you have to be like, you have to have some sort of entry.
What do I do?
What do I do?
Where's my walk-up song?
Yeah, right. There's
I
nothing.
feel like if you gave us a drum roll, I'd be like, that would be it. It'd be like,
Yeah,
and
we need to
are-
work on that transition.
We do.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right, so let's dive into what's the first question.
I'm actually excited. This is one of those questions that someone really was hoping that we would answer. So I'm excited that we get to it today.
What you're saying is they were calling the telehealth clinic profusely every month.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yes.
No,
Listen,
it's not
but
that bad. It was not bad.
No.
We love
It
you
was-
all.
no,
We
no,
love you
it
all.
was
Yes.
not.
We're
And-
excited to.
And I get it, because this is actually, I think, pertinent. This is probably a question most women don't think to ask that I think is important. And I think it's not just for this person who's had called and requested it, but I think it will be
It'll help
helpful.
lots of people.
Yeah.
I do. And what I'm really excited about is obviously answering this for her and being able to get her the answer she's looking for. But I also think it'll be pertinent to a lot of women. And kind of in line with that, like how you were talking about earlier, some of these questions do live on there for a little bit, but that's okay. Just keep sending them in. We try and answer as many as we can. But last week we got a whole heck of a lot of them, and they were really fun to go through. So keep sending them in. But if I knew your name, I'd say it, but I don't. But this question is from a longtime listener. Thank you for your support of what we do here. And her question is, I am on birth control and would really like to get off of it. I do not have the desire for kids, and birth control has been twofold, helping prevent conception and for helping my acne. I have tried twice to get off birth control, and both times, about 3 months in, I break out like crazy and I revert back to the pill. My most recent attempt was last year. I was gluten and dairy free and mainly using clear stem products, and yet the acne persisted. I am 36. I have 2 questions for you. I am strongly considering a bilateral salpingectomy for true birth control. 1, what are your thoughts on this procedure? 2, would you recommend getting the procedure pre-post coming off the pill? My big concern is getting the procedure only to have to stay on birth control to help with the acne.
Mm-hmm.
I have opinions, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So I'll give my thoughts. Is that obviously the salpingectomy is going to address the contraceptive side of that questions. And that's a personal health decision. And I think it's fine for women that want to decide that for themselves and they're done having kids and get the procedure. It's very routine in the medical world.
Yes.
What I would say is I agree with aspects of her question in the sense of it's not addressing the metabolic gut-brain or sort of gut-skin axis inflammatory component of why the problem's there in the first place, right? So birth control manages symptoms, obviously from a contraception standpoint is managing that, but symptom-wise, it is many women are put on hormonal birth control not for contraception, but for some hormonal symptom, painful periods or skin issues are 2 of the probably top ones, right?
Heavy periods.
Heavy periods. Yeah. Heavy, painful, irregular periods they're put on it, and then skin problems are the 2 main problems, the main symptoms that women are put on hormonal birth control. It's not dealing why you have the problem in the first place. So I think this is a both and thing. From a contraception standpoint, you can decide and talk with your doctor about that salpingectomy. But I would say that we need both an inside out and an outside in approach. And you mentioned using good skincare line, and we could talk about maybe different ones that could be appropriate, or maybe it's perfect. Maybe the one you were using is great, but it was an outside in approach. It was never dealing with the inside out approach side of that equation. So I'd want to get a good thorough health history, labs to look at your hormones and to look at the gut skin axis or the connection between what's going on in your gut and how the skin is oftentimes an outer mirror and what's going on in the gastrointestinal system, in the microbiome, and things like bacterial overgrowth, any pathogenic or opportunistic bacteria that could be overgrowing in the gut that we see oftentimes associated with acne and other skin problems. And then looking for things like androgen dominance, the excess, these potent forms of androgen, which oftentimes are driven by insulin resistance. So understanding the metabolism as a whole too, and the inflammatory component of that. It's a cascade. There's a lot of different variables that are going on there. And the birth control is manipulating the physiology to create this sort of environment, but it is not dealing with why you have the problem in the first place. So that would be my thoughts on that, is that I see them as 2 separate things.
100%. And Emily and I don't always agree on a lot, but this we definitely wholeheartedly agree on.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, like, who are we to tell people how not to get pregnant, regardless of the health implications? That is a deeply, very personal thing, if you're going to parent or not. Like that is something you have to seriously consider. So when someone normally brings it to us, even if they are using it for that, it's harder for us to broach in that capacity because it's a much larger conversation, because it's nothing's foolproof, but we do have to have that conversation. Now, if someone brings it to us and it's about the hormonal component, I have lots of opinions. Exactly everything you said, Dr. Cole. It's just masking a larger issue. And the fact that it's taking 3 months for her to start experiencing these symptoms, there's so much conversation to have around this. Are you just not giving it long enough for your hormones to regulate?
Right.
Are there supplements that we can layer in to help balance out the hormonal component to it? You mentioned going dairy and gluten-free. Great starting point. Like that's a great, you're picking things that are inflammatory for some people, especially when it comes to the gut and hormones from a skin standpoint with dairy. Good choices, but you're 36. I don't know how long you've been on birth control. Is this since you were 14 years old? Are we talking 2 decades worth of hormones that you've had to do there? I don't know if dairy-free and gluten-free is enough. And not just, I mean, long-term, you have to think about the implications of that. What do you want from a perimenopausal standpoint? What do you want from a menopausal standpoint? What do you want like for long-term female health? And so I would ask you, I know, I get it. Emotionally, acne is not easy. As someone who has had rosacea and had flare-ups due to hormonal imbalances, I know what that can do to you. But at some point in time, when are you going to evaluate and say, no, I understand there's this short-term aggravation, but I'm ready to make long-term changes. And that's outside of pregnancy. Again, that to me, that question could be 2 totally different things.
Right. Because removing the fallopian tubes isn't going to address the hormonal metabolic issues, the potential gut issues.
It's what it's going to address the pregnancy thing. And again, we have thoughts about it because if someone's coming to us with a lot of imbalances, hormonal things that they're going through, even mood, birth control, I want to have the conversation. I do, because there is family planning if we can regulate your cycle. There's really effective ways. We talked about lower PFA condoms. We've talked about like there are things you can do that are non-surgical and non-hormonal. And we can even talk about the copper IUD. Like there's tons of conversations to have around this. I don't think the surgery is the issue here.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, I think it's almost like 2 separate like problem solving.
2 separate decisions.
Yeah, 2 separate decisions, right? Yeah. If that's what you want to do, absolutely. That's your personal choice. And again, I guess I would think about it in the same way, all right, if I'm willing to go, if I'm wanting to do the surgery, if I'm wanting to remove an organ, right, then I also need to consider the other problem at hand too and say, what am I willing to do for that extent too?
So yeah, I 100% agree. At the end of the day, the surgery is a surgery and the long-term implications are minimal. And from that standpoint, birth control long-term, a lot of implications. And that's not to say it's not the right choice for you. We're not, again, anti-birth control. It's just you're telling me you have obvious goals for yourself. You obviously want to accomplish something. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're recognizing that this probably doesn't align with your long-term goals, but there's the fear factor surrounding your skin. That's fixable. There's a lot we can do for that. Like I said, nutritional, supplemental, hormonal support outside of that, detox support. There's so much. Like, don't feel like you've reached the end of your rope because you want dairy-free and gluten-free and that didn't fix it. That's great. Yeah. But you've also maybe been on birth control for 2 decades. Yeah. And so we have some stuff to unpack.
Yeah. And hormonal problems even longer than that, obviously, right? I mean, it's like, it could be.
Well, why did you start it?
Yeah,
did you
why
start
did
it
you
as
start
family prevention, like family planning, or did you start it because you had acne as a child and that was your PCP's solution to helping you clear up your acne?
Right. And I don't know the implications of having that procedure done too. I mean, you think about, someone getting their gallbladder removed, right? They're told, oh, hey, you're having gallstones or sluggish gallbladder, we need to remove it, right? Or something happened, right? But there are implications afterwards, right? Your body doesn't break down fats as easily. It might have more digestive issues. Are there hormonal implications from having the fallopian tubes removed? I'm not sure. I don't necessarily know. I mean, again, it's done often. Yeah. So I don't think that it's obviously that big of a deal, but so is gallbladder removal too. I think that at least understanding though, would that change the body? I mean, that would be my question.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously any stressor to the body, the surgery could cause a temporary shift, but because the fallopian tubes are not producing hormones, right? I think it would have negligible effects on her.
So, it's not like,
again, it's a decision that I think is a separate decision, but which like I said, I think it could very easily be done, but there's more work that would have to be done with that then.
Yeah. And even if someone did do that for family planning and they weren't experiencing acne, I'd still want to look at your hormones. If you've been on birth control that long, 36, I mean, you maybe have 10 years before perimenopause, maybe a little bit longer, depending, or maybe you're heading into early perimenopause. You can have a whole slew of other stuff. Hot flashes, hair thinning, just think of like just muscle and bone structure. Like we're heading into that time where it is pivotal for you to care for your body in a meaningful way. And again, this isn't the slam birth control. I am not here to police people on how they get pregnant, but I am here to educate. And I think it's vitally important that we have that conversation. I mean, you have a 50-year-old woman on, just the other day, I had a 50-year-old patient. She's like, I don't actually know if I'm in menopause or not because I've had an IUD for 15 years. And I'm like, you have no idea where you are at. You have no idea. You don't know your body. You can't know your body. And that has to be, there's a mental and emotional component to that we have to be talking about. So at 36, you're getting there and we have to have the conversation.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. All right. We can jump into the next question.
All right. So we're still kind of on the skin topic here, okay? So this person said, I've been taking spironolactone for about 4 years now and started originally taking it for some hormonal cystic acne. It helped my skin, so I decided to stay on it. I'm unsure if I still need the medication as it has been some time since I've been on it. I did accidentally take a break from it for a couple of weeks because I was unable to get a prescription refill, which caused my body to retain water and I felt very puffy. Therefore, I'm nervous about getting off of the medication altogether. What are your thoughts on long-term use of this?
Can I just say I love that she said I accidentally went off of it for a little while.
It happens.
I love when people say that. They're like,
hey,
I accidentally stopped.
I don't know
for a
how I
time."
forgot about that, but yeah, it happens. So spironolactone, it's an anti-androgen. So we talked about androgens in the last question because these are two acne, skin health questions. And we know the skin, as I mentioned, is an outer mirror of what's going on in the gut, the metabolism, and hormones. So what's going on there? And this spironolactone is decreasing androgens like DHT, but it's not dealing with why you had the androgen dominance in the first place. So most of the time, I mentioned this in the last question, the androgen dominance is driven by insulin resistance, and the insulin resistance oftentimes has a gut component too. So we have to deal with, on like a Venn diagram, the insulin resistance and metabolic health, which includes gut health, but then there may be separate gut health issues, bacterial overgrowths, opportunistic and pathogenic bacteria that could be going on separately. And both of those together, increased androgens, it stimulates, let's be specific about this, the insulin resistance and the inflammation, what's going in the gut, stimulate the ovaries to release more luteinizing hormone, or LH, which will cause the ovaries to release more androgens. So spironolactone is on the stream is just suppressing androgens, but it's not dealing with everything upstream on that cascade. It's not addressing the gut health. It's not addressing insulin resistance. It's not addressing the inflammation. I have to give it a little bit of props. It does act as a mild anti-inflammatory, spironolactone, but you don't have chronic inflammation because of a spironolactone deficiency. So why do we have the inflammation in the first place? So as far as pharmaceuticals go, if you look at like lists of potential side effects, there's not a lot of negative side effects. It can cause some electrolyte imbalances. Rare cases can cause some kidney issues, but low doses of spironolactone, as far as pharmaceutical goes, it's not the worst offender, but it's still not dealing with the root cause. So, if the minute you come off of that medication and the acne comes back, you're just you're putting a Band-Aid on what's going on there from a sort of gut-skin axis standpoint. So similar philosophy, not to belabor this because it is very similar to the first question, I would want to deal with what's going on here. And I can give you some things that we would recommend to telehealth patients that could be supportive from a mechanism of action standpoint that could have similar mechanisms as spironolactone. Spearmint tea is one of them. A study in phytotherapy research found that drinking spearmint tea, just 2 cups a day. Do you guys like spearmint tea?
I love
I'm
spearmint
such a tea girl. Like spearmint tea, heck yeah.
Okay, so 2 cups a day, 30 days, to be consistent with that. Significantly reduced free testosterone in women with PCOS, with anecdotal reports of acne improvement. Another 2015 pilot study in Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine noted reduced acne in participants after 3 months. So it's not as strong as an anti-androgen medication, but it is a great modulating tool to help balance hormones. So green tea is another one, specifically EGCG, which is the catechin inside of a polyphenol inside of green tea. A 2016 study in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology showed green tea extract. A lot of this was actually topical use. Actually, in this study, it was topical. It reduced sebum production in acne lesions by 58%.
Wow.
After 8 weeks. And oral green tea supplementation. This is a study in Antioxidants, the medical journal Antioxidants 2020. Green tea supplementation decreased inflammatory acne in women, likely via IGF-1, decreasing insulin growth factor 1 and inflammatory proteins. So the research, a lot of it is around 2 to 3 cups a day of green tea. And you can get supplemented, compounded of higher extract of the EGCG as well, which it's in our Protect formula.
Yes, it is.
We have the Art of Being Well supplement line for people that aren't telehealth patients. So it's called Protect, and it's supporting liver detoxification pathways, which is a significant part of hormonal clearance. So a lot of these androgen dominance, that formula called Protect helps to clear out any androgens.
And we also have the berberine. So if you want to talk about from an insulin resistance standpoint, like that would be a great one to layer in as well.
Great tip. There's so much copious amount of studies looking at berberine and insulin modulation. So omega-3 fatty acids is another one. 2014 study in lipids and health and disease found that 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 supplements, fish oil, for 10 weeks reduced inflammatory acne by 42% in adults.
These are big numbers.
Significant numbers. 2021 review in nutrients linked omega-3s to lower cytokine level or inflammation levels, calming acne-related inflammation. So the studies range from 2,000 milligrams, like 1 to 2 grams is typically the study. I start off low and slow, and it's well tolerated.
Yeah.
We don't really see any problems with.
I haven't had
fish
any
oil.
patients.
There's some medications you want to be mindful of with fish oil. So talk with your doctor if you're on any other prescribed medication. But generally speaking, it's very well tolerated. Zinc is another one. There's a meta-analysis in dermatology research and practice found that oral zinc, 30 to 50 milligrams a day of zinc, reduced acne lesions by 30 to 50%. After 12 weeks, comparable to low-dose antibiotics, which they also give for acne, for mild to moderate acne. A 2021 study in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology noted topical zinc, which is another great outside-in and inside-out approach, enhanced acne clearance when combined with the supplementation as well. So saw palmetto is another one with androgen dominance that we use a lot clinically.
Yep.
A 2019 pilot study in Journal of Dietary Supplements found that saw palmetto supplements 320 milligrams a day reduce acne in women after 6 months. So saw palmetto mimics low dose spironolactone.
Yeah.
Probably the most, I would say, from a mechanism of action standpoint. I could go on and on. Vitex, chaseberry is another one.
Love it.
2017
It's in some
study.
of our products as well.
It is, yeah. Improved premenstrual acne and mood in women after 3 cycles. There was a 2017 study in Advances in Therapy, 40 milligrams a day of that. There's a lot of botanical herbs, natural compounds, micronutrients that are associated in the scientific literature to having similar responses or very similar mechanisms as well. Like that in many ways, I would say they're getting to the root cause. They are modulating the gut in a positive way. They are from foods. There's things that humans would have consumed for a long time. But still, all the supplements, they're good for many other things. And I think that's the other key point here is that you're taking omega-3 fatty acid. Spironolactone is doing one thing. It's lowering androgens.
Yeah.
An omega fish fatty acid is helping cardiovascular health. It's helping brain health, heart health. It's helping gut health. It's helping cellular health. It's associated with longevity. People take it, live
Yeah.
longer, generally speaking. So it's when you're talking about whole food compounds from nature, they have a synergistic, diverse effect in the body because they're natural, because we humans, the human body recognizes it. So it's fuel, it's medicine to the body versus like a singular pathway that's a medication is working upon. And that's the difference between man and nature.
I love that. And I think, you listed so many things, and sometimes that can be really overwhelming to people. And this is what we do though. When we start working with someone, I always tell people, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox, and part of what we're going to figure out is help figure out which ones are the right ones for you.
Yeah.
And so I think these are all great things to try. And again, we have a lot of these things that we offer, so that way you guys can try them. But, if you want help getting the right tools for you, this is the whole benefit of setting up a consult with us and really working with us, because we want to take the pressure off of you of trying to guess and to figure it out. And we're going to actually see what the body needs and how we can address it appropriately. Yeah.
And we don't want to unnecessarily, to Emily's point, add to your supplement graveyard. We want to what's the biggest needle movers for you, and not just adding in for the sake of it, because all those things that I just mentioned, all well-intentioned, all have exciting science behind it, good stuff. It doesn't mean you need all of that stuff though. So,
100%.
So you may just need one of them.
And we can also, you mentioned some food. I'm sorry, tea. I mean, we're talking, this doesn't have to be overwhelming, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple, small changes that make the world of impact.
Yeah.
Those are not small percentages.
Those are
They're
great.
not.
Those are great things. If you were a tea, Dr. Cole, I think you definitely would be a green tea.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Or you know what? Not to digress. I think I would be. I appreciate your opinion on me, and you. People can see me different than I see myself, so maybe that's what
All
it
right,
is.
what are you? Tell me.
I would say,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
this is how I feel about myself. I feel like I'd be yerba mate.
I can 100% see that. No.
Woodsy,
A
kind
little
of roasted.
I would be Earl Grey
Earthy.
tea.
Yeah, I could see that. Or I could see chamomile for you.
Okay.
Chamomile? Are you kidding me?
She's a little caffeinated. She's a little caffeinated.
She's.
I could see Earl Grey, especially with that shirt today.
See, I think she's a mint tea.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I don't feel like a mint tea. I feel like an Earl Grey. It has that floral notes to it. It
You
has
could be chai too.
I could be chai.
Oh yeah, she's a little
oh,
spicy.
because
She
it's
could be
fall.
shy.
I actually
I
think
think
Yeah,
I
that's
would
what
be
it
shy.
is. It's fall time.
I actually think
You're
Emily could be chai.
Emily, let me think. I think oolong.
I want to be hibiscus.
Okay.
Or just a classic black tea.
You just had to pick the pink fluffy one, didn't you? You just had
I
to
could be a
pick.
classic black tea, I'm an average
You are not
Joe.
a classic black tea.
Are you
at
kidding
all.
me? I'll wake you up in the morning. Have me
No.
for breakfast.
She's probably not even a tea.
I would say
I'm probably not. I'm hardcore
Yeah,
coffee.
she's probably a black coffee.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I'll
Highly
take a chai tea.
caffeinated.
I'll take-
Highly caffeinated.
Yes.
Probably not.
Yeah, she's not even one of us.
Yeah.
No, she's
No,
not.
she's a different kingdom.
No, I'm good for you, but you might not be able to handle me if you're a slow
Yeah, if
slow
you're slow
metabolizer.
detoxing, watch out. She'll give heart palpitations and digestive distress
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
and the jitters.
If you are interested in learning what food product we are, please send your question in to hello@drwillcole.com.
We play this game with the patient experience team too. We're
Yeah.
We do this
we
a
were
lot.
NSYNC members. Like what NSYNC member would be?
Yes,
We're-
it's true.
we're
We,
not-
we are like the
Andrew didn't like her pick though.
we are the BuzzFeed quiz capital of,
Absolutely.
of functional medicine centers.
That's
us.
exactly what it is.
But we don't take the quizzes. We just vote.
Yes, 100%.
And most of the time it ends with Andrea and Will getting in a fight.
Yeah. No.
Debate.
Well,
I would say-
Andrea yelling at you.
Well, truth. What I would say though is at the end of the day though, if we want to circle back to this, I like your point, Emily.
Yeah.
I do. I think that it's important for us to recognize that we can be there for you and you don't have to feel overwhelmed by the entire list. But as a little side note, we can drop in our hormone stack of supplements that if you want something curated for you, we made these intentionally. We did. Knowing that they would support people that maybe weren't ready for our guidance, not there yet, not at the level to want to explore their health that much, but they know they want to do something.
Yeah, they wanted something to at least do on their own.
Yes, exactly. So I think that would be great. And then my last thing on the spironolactone, 4+ years of that. There's going to be some chronic dehydration. There's going to be something that's throwing something off. At some point in time, you're masking something larger. Again, if something gets someone's head above water and you're in a severe acne flare, you're in middle school and you feel like you're being tormented, like I'm not asking to have your child suffer through high school. But at the same time, don't you want to set yourself up or your child up for long-term success too? And to know why this is happening, because there's a reason that you can walk into high school and there are kids without acne and there are kids with acne. It's because, not saying that the kids without acne are healthy, but they're maybe not experiencing the same level of hormone impact that your child is.
Yeah. And we know there's a genetic component with sebum production.
Yeah.
We know that. And there's a genetic component, but lots of people have genes for things that aren't triggered. So yeah, it's a
100%.
genetic component, but what's triggering that genetic component?
Yeah. So I would, if you want to make some small changes, you know, we do have our courses. We have our, you know, our education on our website in the form of articles. There are hormone stacks. But if you want to explore this deeper, have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
We'll be able to help you. All right. Next question. It says, Dr. Cole, I saw you make a post about fluoride in water and removing it. But what's the argument about keeping it in the water? I guess I am wondering the other side of the argument on what possible pros would there be. To go along with that, what kind of water filters would you recommend to clear it if I don't want fluoride in my water?
Okay. I think this is a big key point of like why a lot of us within functional medicine have an issue with this, and we have had for a long time, and we've been recommending water filters since like for a long time, and it's not
back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, but and it's not just for fluoride. Obviously, it's way more complex than just fluoride. But fluoride is something that's intentionally brought in from the government, not for the water safety or not for, you know, the purity of the water or the taste of the water. It is mass medicating of the United States of America without consent. That's what it is. And it was, I would
Do you
assume.
think people realize that? That's
No.
that's why it's in the
No,
water?
because it's different than a water treatment. It's like, okay, it's cleaning it or making it like less hard or less whatever, calcium in it, for whatever reason. This is purely for health, quote unquote, health purposes.
Yeah.
And it was decided maybe with the best of intentions, right? I mean, mankind has done lots of things from a health policy standpoint throughout history to say we know best and this is what we're going to do. But times have changed since the 1950s when this all began. I mean, prior to the 1950s, it wasn't. People didn't have access to dentists like they do now. The treatment, different ways to support dental health was not there in the mid 20th century. It's a completely different day and age. So we're using something from the 1950s still today, and about 75%, I think is the latest statistic, 75% of the United States water, public water, city water, is treated with fluoride. And what's the research show? A 2025 meta-analysis. It looked at over 75 different studies. This is the systemic review and meta-analysis in JAMA Pediatrics. This is the Journal of the American Medical Association, Pediatrics Journal. And it was inversely proportional. For about every 1 milligram per liter, I think was the unit there. For every one, let's just say, unit of fluoride coming out in the urine of children, you had about 1.6, I think, decrease of IQ. And it was dose dependent. Like the higher the fluoride that was coming out of the urine was associated with even more of a drop in IQ. And that's just IQ, right? I mean, that's certainly should be looked at when you look at how the United States is doing as far as brain health is concerned. But what else? And what's the mechanism of action? There's other studies that show that it impacts the thyroid negatively. Maybe it's because the brain, especially when kids are little, the thyroid is needed for proper brain development. So is it hurting and impairing the thyroid some way that's slowing down brain development? People with thyroid issues obviously should be knowing this as well. And everybody's weight is different. Some people are bigger, some people are smaller. Some people drink a lot more city water, some people don't drink enough not a lot of city water. So the medicine itself is so bio-individual, and people don't even know when I'm drinking my city water, I'm being low dose medicated for my dental health.
Yeah, that's messed up.
It is messed up.
It's right.
I mean, it's different than if I decide for myself to go to
Right.
my dentist and I want to get a fluoride treatment,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't do anyways. But I'm saying if someone that wants to choose that, then go and choose that.
Right.
And it's an option for you. But there's so many other alternatives as far as like non-toxic, fluoride-free, SLS-free, sodium lauryl sulfate-free toothpastes. We've had many brilliant dentists on the podcast, Dr. Stacy Whitman, Dr. Jerry Curatola, that have developed different toothpaste that don't include fluoride that still have the protective mineralization aspect of toothpaste that we want, the strengthening aspect of toothpaste without fluoride. Hydroxyapatite was what the active ingredient. Yeah. Typically that's used, which is a fluoride alternative. But what do you all think?
I'm trying to keep quiet because in case my sister is listening to this, she's my dental hygienist, and she just asked me the other day. She's like,
What
"So
does she think?"
She thinks that you should have fluoride regularly. She actually, I just had my teeth
Interesting.
cleaned, and I'm sorry, Kelsey, I lied to you. I am not using fluoride
You
in my
lied to your
toothpaste.
sister?
I lied to my
Slash
sister.
dental hygienist?
Oh my gosh.
What? Wait, why? You thought she was going to shame you?
Oh yeah, she would have right in front of the dentist.
You're
I
like,
was
yeah, I chug fluoride like a champ. Yeah, I'm
yes.
good.
I was like,
so
I
mainstream.
use the Tums with fluoride. I was like,
They make that?
Yeah, they do.
Tom's makes the fluoride
Yeah,
one.
I don't
do,
even.
yeah.
And so Kelsey, if you
Andrea.
are listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so
We're not going to
sorry.
censor this bit out.
No, we're
No.
not. I don't use it because I do have thyroid issues, and
I
because
love
of
that
that link,
you lied to your sister about this.
I
I mean,
know.
our family dynamic's funny.
Yeah, they are.
They are like, yeah.
I mean, if we were at my house and she didn't have a sharp pick in my tooth, I probably would have maybe told her
Wait
that
a
I
minute.
didn't.
I kind of I'm seeing this unravel and I understand a little bit more now.
Yeah, I'm
Plus
like,
people were around maybe? Or
yes, there are people around.
you
There's
were
a light
afraid-
overhead.
You were afraid
I'm
of being
laid-
publicly humiliated.
Social
Yeah.
pressure.
Oh, so much
We
pressure.
see that with patients.
Yes,
Not
we
with fluoride, but
do.
like with food.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I'm literally,
Wow.
guys, I'm in
Alcohol.
a chair. There's a light overhead. My sister has this sharp instrument in my mouth. Like,
Yeah. You
you're
thought it was
like,
going to get violent.
well, no,
Oh,
but at the end of the
no.
day, I was just like, this isn't worth the argument here or now. I don't get
Like,
to talk to her about
I'm
biological
on the fluoride
dentistry.
board. I mean, I like.
Yeah,
I
live
love
and
it.
breathe
I
fluoride.
advocate for it. No, I don't at all.
And the other, not to derail us,
Yeah.
going back real fast here, is that it's a synthetic like a industrial waste byproduct is the type of fluoride that's being used. It's not naturally occurring fluoride in foods. We just talked about tea.
Yeah.
Green tea, black tea, white tea, pu'er tea are all great sources of fluoride in whole food form. Just a little note. Seafood.
I love that.
Seafood.
Wow.
Source of fluoride. That is not the sort of chemicalized industrial version, the synthetic version that's in the water.
Yeah, and I don't want to throw my sister under the bus. I actually don't know her standpoint in the water component of it. I know her standpoint from
maybe
a
the dental
dentistry
treatment.
like
Well, she probably thinks it's a
She's
net
gonna get
positive.
hate mail now
Yeah.
just because of you.
Don't
Not-
give the clinic she
no,
works at.
No,
No.
I'm not
The art of
gonna-
being
Okay.
well listeners don't
Actually,
do
it was
that.
a
No,
great
they
dentist.
don't.
He's very kind, and I love my sister. I follow her wherever she's at whatever dentistry.
We're gonna have a family therapy session after this, but
Yeah.
Well, we've also had this conversation though about amalgam fillings.
yeah,
They're not. My sister and my mom are in the dentistry field, and we have this. I don't want to say argument, discussion regularly in our family events when I'm asking, why do you feel like it's unsafe before it goes in your mouth? It's unsafe when it comes out of your mouth, but it's fine when it's in your mouth. I want to understand. You have proper protocols they have to take when handling this. But when it's in my mouth and I'm chewing,
fine.
it's okay.
For people that
And
are,
it's
it's
hardened.
the silver fillings, the mercury fillings, which
Yeah.
aren't used very often.
No.
anymore. But like to Andrea's point, it's still in their mouth from
Yeah.
past dental
Right.
procedures, and yeah.
Yeah. And my
Yeah.
mom will now say like, oh, I would never recommend them, but she's not going to talk about the health and safety of it. They're not in biological dentistry. They're in standard dentistry. And which is fine. That's why I go for my teeth cleaning. It's I don't need a biological dentist for my teeth
Yeah.
cleaning. However, I would not have them handle an amalgam filling. Just the way that we think is very different. So I think from a fluoride treatment standpoint, she would make an argument for it. But I would like to point out, it had been a little bit of time since I had gone. I don't do any sort of fluoride in my toothpaste, not a single cavity, not any gum recession, nothing. My teeth are perfectly healthy, and it's been a few years. So, hey.
Thanks, American Dental Association.
And I filter the fluoride out of my water. So
okay, let's answer that. That's the second part of the question.
Yes,
What's your
yes.
favorite water filters for fluoride specifically?
Yeah. So I actually love the Berkey water filters. And it's a countertop filter. So again, some people want under the sink or a whole house filter, but I love Berkey water filters. Now they do have a separate fluoride filter. So that is the one thing you have to think about. They have the general filters that you get with the Berkey, and then you purchase the fluoride filters separately. So a little caveat there. But they also have shower filters. They have water bottles too, which are really cool. So I'm a huge fan of their filters. But there are other great ones too. I mean,
AquaTrue.
Yeah.
AquaTrue. I had them on the podcast. So
yeah.
Again, you want to look at the specific filtration of what they filter out and the effectiveness of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because each filter is different and they may not remove what's high in your water.
Yeah.
And I think getting an individually home tested isn't a bad idea. I'm not saying it's mandatory. You could just be safe and be
you should get a
cautionary.
water report too. You can you can request those.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get a local municipality water report, which is a good point. We have patients do that, but it doesn't show. It's showing most of what's going on, but it doesn't show your own pipes.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Yeah.
And it still might say something's normal to their standards necessarily, right? But yeah, just because a filter makes your water taste good doesn't mean that it's actually filtering things out.
Yes.
And even with talking about fluoride, while you were talking about it, the only thing I can think of is fluoride's not the only thing. What else is being put in the water too? So that's where you want to think about, again, getting a filter that is good quality, that's going to be filtering out all kinds of different things, the pesticides, glyphosate.
Yeah, I don't even have the reports pulled up. You guys might remember the exact statistics, but people, you have to realize people who are taking medications are now urinating in or having their period in flushing it into the public water system. They're not filtering out those medications.
Yeah, there's medications in our water.
Yeah.
Small amounts, but yeah.
Yeah. So, if you think about that,
Right?
you're...
Is that what you're doing? Like, I think everyone's mind is just like being
Yeah.
blown right now.
We're talking about fluoride being intentionally added. What about the ones that we're not thinking about, that how over-medicated our U.S. population is right now? And that's ending up in our public water system as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
so get a shower filter too.
or a whole house filter. And Dr. Cole, I believe we have an article on the website as well.
Yes.
Yeah, water filtration. Just go to drwillcole.com and type in water filter in the search engine there.
It's the first one that comes up.
Okay, cool.
It is,
Yes.
And maybe we can, Brooke, who is my podcast queen, she helps me edit and run the podcast. She could probably put it in the show notes too.
100%.
Yeah.
And the same with all the other stuff we've mentioned. So yeah, those are my thoughts on fluoride.
Yes. I love it. All right. Next question. Dr. Cole, I heard you talking about reforming school lunches and the changes to SNAP on News Nation. Aren't you worried that people are going to starve if you take away normal food options?
Wow, a lot to unpack there.
Question.
Normal.
Lots of
Let's talk about
emotions.
normal. Just because something's common doesn't necessarily make it normal. Just because it's our everyday doesn't mean we should settle for it. So let's clear that up. Because what is normal? Chronic disease is common, certainly not normal. Feeding chronic disease is certainly common, not normal. And we do a lot of upside down, abnormal things that we normalize in our culture today. So SNAP, let's talk about SNAP and school lunches, both of them. So, but they both involve federal funding, right? And state funding in certain circumstances too. But largely from a federal, that's what I was talking about on News Nation, was about the federal SNAP program and the food stamp program, basically, and removing soda and candy and junk food. Different states have different legislations. A lot of this is starting at state law and how SNAP is used on a state level. And then conversations are beginning to be had on a federal level too. But whether you're talking about state or federal, I think that we have to look at what's the ethics of this, what's the morality of this, what's the logic behind this. And we know that people on SNAP have double the risk of obesity. They're doubly obese compared to eligible people, but are non-participants in SNAP. Meaning if you're both are lower income, one's on SNAP, one's not. If you're on SNAP, you're double the risk of having obesity. A significant swath of people on SNAP are also on pharmaceutical drugs. I think it's like 65% of people on SNAP are also getting federal funding of pharmaceuticals for the chronic disease that we've paid for in people. So soda is it's the number one product purchased on SNAP. And people talk about the reasoning why, right? Because they actually sell a lot of people sell the cans for money, but they're still drinking it. And they're even incentivized to sell the cans, even if they're doing it for money and reselling the cans, which I get that, right? It's like you're trying to be entrepreneurial in that way of recycling and getting something back for that completely. And I remember living in Southern California in sort of the Compton, Inglewood, Long Beach area where my wife is from, and seeing people do that, like bags and bags of cans to sell it to make money. I get that, but you're still drinking the soda. They're not dumping it out.
Yeah.
They're not wasting that. So the whole system is not broken, it's rigged. It's rigged to feed chronic disease in poor people and kids, and then dependent on the system. So it's deranged, actually. And for people to call that elitist or even racist is upside down. It's elitist and racist to think that poor people should be disproportionately fed chronic disease, and we should pay for it.
Yes.
This is illogical. It is why we are the way we are. That's why we, as the United States, spend more on healthcare than any industrialized nation, yet we have the most chronic disease and the shortest lifespan of all industrialized nations. People are not going to starve or die of thirst if they don't have their Mountain Dew.
No.
It is insane. We're not talking, there's no nutritional value to these foods. So it is the state of affairs. And then you have people on the left that kind of claim that. And then people on the right will say, well, this is government overreach. Like we should just let them have whatever they want to have. But I agree with that we should, from a freedom standpoint, but we shouldn't pay for it. They should they could buy whatever they want with their money, not federal funding.
Right.
Or state
100%. I agree.
Yeah. It's the normal food that really gets me in this question, because I've actually heard this a lot, even in my personal life. And probably so many of you who are listening may have heard this too or experienced this too. But sometimes, as a mom of 3 kids, different birthday parties or holidays or events, like sometimes I get this comment, and I actually studied nutrition in college. So I had to go to the public school system and study this as well. And watch what kids were choosing, right? And I get this comment all the time of like, oh, well, Emily's going to have her food. We'll bring the normal stuff, right? Oh, Emily's bringing her crackers or her desserts. We'll bring the normal crackers, the normal desserts. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is so messed up.
Yeah.
If we're going to use that word like that, my food is the normal food.
Yes.
Because my food is the real version of that food.
Mm-hmm.
Your food is the not normal food because it's artificially made.
Yes.
It has artificial ingredients in it. So to me, that whole perspective, it doesn't make sense.
How far have we fallen that that's what it is?
Well, and
it's the upside down.
It's insanity. I'm sorry. It's absolutely insane for you to say that, like, oh, instead of you being able to buy Mountain Dew, I think you should buy green tea. You want caffeine? Have caffeine. And you're right. If it's government funded, I at least want my tax dollars to go towards something that's going to help someone promote their health, promote them, because I expect them to be better than me moving forward.
And we want to empower people. It's sick
yes.
people are not empowered people.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
I don't feed my kids the way that I feed them because I'm a mean mom that wants to starve my kids. No, my kids still have things. They're having lesser evil Cheetos, not like the food dye number red 5 on their Cheetos. But I'm not like starving my child. I promise you.
Because that's the argument is that kids will when you talk about public schools, they'll throw the food away.
Good. I hope they do.
Yes.
I hope they do.
No, because here's the thing. And I want to
get some fasting in.
I want to be serious about this for just 1 minute about my kids and food.
Mandatory intermittent fasting at every public school.
I mean, seriously. But my kids, my youngest has come home from school before, and this actually like broke my heart. He had a friend. He was like, yeah, I shared with them because they didn't have anything today. And I'm like, is that normal? Like, do they not normally have stuff? And I'm like, because if there's ever anybody you know, I'll pack them a lunch too. So there are kids that are legitimately not being fed.
True.
Whether that's because of underfunded or not getting the right thing, because I know our school district offers that. I know that that's a thing. And I'm telling you, that kid that went to school that day that my son had to share his lunch with, that if he had a free lunch in front of him and it was a grilled chicken sandwich with a side salad and an apple, he would have ate it. He would have ate it. It was real whole food, and he would have ate it.
It's these like privileged kids that do have good food that are super picky because they get whatever they want whenever they want.
He wants to come home and eat from the pantry because he didn't want to eat
kids that are actually in food deserts, right? That are undernourished and need food.
I'm telling you that that's not what we're seeing here. We're having the wrong conversation.
Yeah, you talk about it's such a good point. Like someone in a developing country that has food scarcity is like, I don't want that salad.
No, get that apple away from me.
And we're not talking like they're gonna end up with their Hidden Valley Ranch on that.
Yeah, let's be honest. That's the other thing too. No one's talking about turning public schools into like Air One. No, it's never gonna happen.
No,
we're talking about lesser evil.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes,
that's all we're saying is that like there should be some real whole food options. Yeah. There should be the opportunity to feed people in a way that actually does a difference for them and helps them.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. My kids' school is still going to have their fries and their pizzas and their spaghetti days. But
let's stop hyping these kids up on sugar and all these artificial things, and then just saying, "Oh, you have ADHD, so you need to go on crazy amounts of medications." Maybe if we fed them better, gave them better options, supported development, and sure, maybe some kids still might need more support than that, but like
it's gonna lessen it.
Yeah
1 in 3 kids today have a diagnosable mental, emotional, or behavioral disorder. That's 15 million kids. It starts with food. It starts with the food that they're having at school and at home. A Stanford study, this isn't just a woo-woo, like the woo-woo caucus talking about this. This is a Stanford study. It's not even a new study. It's been a couple of years, meaning that the statistics are probably even bigger now. But a Stanford study found that cutting out, using analytics and mathematics, Stanford determined that cutting out soda and sugary foods from SNAP would decrease obesity in 141,000 kids and decrease type 2 diabetes in 250,000 adults just by cutting out sugary drinks and soda, let alone all the other things within food, is concerned. Kids who depend on food stamps drink 43% more sugary drinks than those not on SNAP.
It's not that hard.
And it actually was higher than what I said. 72% of SNAP recipients are also on Medicaid.
Wow.
65% of Medicaid recipients are on pharmaceutical drugs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Again, we're not talking about having these kids do something that's out of reach or unrealistic. It's let's make it.
Yeah, we're not going to have your kid have sea bass with roasted vegetables for lunch.
That would be the day. But
I did.
Okay, so you brought up this fact. Okay, yeah.
So my husband's half Korean. My mother-in-law is from Korea, and Emily, your brother's actually spent time there too.
Yes.
So in certain countries, and I'm not saying every country because I don't know this for a fact, but if you looked at their school lunches, it's laughable what we feed kids and call food. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're sending their kids to school, and again, this is cultural, but we're trying to change the culture, people. That's the point of this. Culturally in Korea, you look at their lunches, they're having like fermented broth and kimchi and a real protein and then rice. Now, granted, on the side, they're giving them a fried donut with sugar, but that's not the entirety of their meal. Yeah. You look at France, you look at Italy. I mean, you're talking, there's fresh vegetables, there's food. We're not saying there's no pasta. We're not saying there's no grains. We're not saying that like you're living off things that you're not familiar with. It's just real whole food.
And this is complex in the sense of, look, people then will say, well, then it's food deserts. You have to make fruits and vegetables and whole foods more accessible. I agree with that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's like you can't just, you're not going to set them, you're going to help things by removing, like I just gave you these stat from Stanford. You are going to improve things if you just remove soda. People are not going to die of thirst from not having their soda. Yeah. So let's just get that they'll have access to water or something else that's not a soda. But it's more than just that. We have to look at what we're bringing in and adding,
Right.
not just taking away.
Yeah.
I agree with that fact.
But that comes with the cultural desire for those
Yeah.
things. Because a lot of times, is it a food desert because it's or is it because no one was buying it, so it doesn't end up there? There has to supply and demand, people.
You're
Supply
right.
and demand.
That is a factor.
It'll easily shift because a lot of these, especially urban food deserts, that they're in the cities. The fruits and vegetables are in aspects of every city.
Yes.
They just need to get in neighborhoods within the city. But you're right, supply and demand. And a lot of this has to do with, like you said, the sort of what people are incentivized to buy. And we make junk foods that don't love the human body back, very cheap and very accessible. And that has to do with subsidies, government subsidies to certain industries, and get preferential treatment to big food, which largely produces nutrient-less inflammatory foods that feed
100%.
chronic disease.
Yep. And you need less food when you're eating real whole food. Let's just
True.
get that as well. I mean, you're not going to eat a bag of Doritos and call that a nutrient-dense meal. And if you're eating, and that may be cheaper than the pound of ground beef that you're buying, but that pound of ground beef could last you 2 meals and actually leave you fulfilled and satiated, where your Doritos are not. So I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I've done enough budgets. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I can help you in any economical place that you're in. I will find you something to eat. You may not have 30 different vegetables a week, but you will have 5, and you will have protein, and you will have something to actually feed yourself. And I think that this, again, at some point in time, it will end up there. Someone will want to make money if you want to buy it, but you have to put it in front of people so that they know that this is the right choices.
Yeah,
that they should be
that's why
making.
changing the hearts and minds, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to start shifting the way we do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have strong feelings about that.
Yeah.
But.
I think they got that.
They definitely got that.
All
All
three
right.
of us.
Last and final question. Dr. Cole, I just finished the book Eat Right for Your Blood Type by Dr. Peter Diadamo, and I'd love to get Dr. Cole's take on it. It's obviously an older book, and I haven't heard or seen much about the science behind it recently. Do studies back up the claims in the book? Is there any evidence that the blood type determines your diet?
Yeah, we get asked this question a lot. This is a very common question with new telehealth patients, people on social media, listeners to the podcast. It's Peter Diadamo, I think. Yeah, it came out in 1996. It's not a new book, like you've said. So let me break down just the key principles that he talks about. Blood type O, he calls the hunter. It thrives on higher protein, meat-based diets, like paleo-like diet. Think of that. Type A, agrarian, suited for more vegetarian, plant-forward ways of eating. Type B blood type is the nomad, benefits from a balanced diet, including dairy. And type AB is the hybrid, combines A and B traits, needing mixed diets. So the theory posits that lectins from foods interact with blood type antigens, causing adverse reactions, i.e. inflammation, if foods are incompatible with the blood type. And he talks about some studies. Some studies show that lectins can bind to specific blood group antigens in vitro, in cell studies. In 1999, a study, which after the book was released, in glycobiology noted that certain dietary lectins from beans specifically interact with ABO antigens, potentially affecting gut cells. The author of the book extrapolates this to suggest systemic harm from wrong, quote unquote, wrong foods for that blood type. He also has an evolutionary argument. He talks about the idea of aligning loosely with anthropological theories from that dietary patterns shaped human evolution. For example, A is linked to agrarian societies, supported by genetic studies, 2014 study in Nature showing ABO gene variation. So he took some studies and then really created a theory around it, and then has a lot of anecdotal, meaning patient evidence, client evidence in the book. I haven't read the book. I'm just giving you sort of the overall of what I've heard about the book and the sort of theory behind it. There's limited studies on this. There's limited study. And my take on this is that certainly can be an aspect of it. As you mentioned, there's bioindividuality with the way that blood types are, but we are more than our blood type. And I think that's where the limitation is. Like, what's their microbiome status? What's their methylation status? What's their metabolic status? Are they exposed to environmental toxins or not? What's their hormonal status? All of those things play. It's a confluence of factors that play in sort of this cascade effect of that determines someone's bioindividuality, both genetically and epigenetically. So certainly to ignore blood being a piece of the puzzle that deserves more studies, certainly I think it has its place. But to reduce somebody's profile just to their blood type, I find is reductive, probably, and overly simplistic. It's like almost becomes like blood type astrology, where it's like, that's my sign, so therefore this is always true. You may have a lot of correlative, like, good bang for your buck to be following this sort of advice.
Yeah.
And look, I think the commonality between all of these foods, it's whole foods. It's real foods. A whole real food diet, whether it's more paleo, higher carb, lower carb, it's still whole foods. So you're going to get improvement when you get somebody on that way of eating. I will say anecdotally, over the years, I've had telehealth patients tell me, I find that to be true for me. Like, when I read that, I was like, oh yeah, I do feel better when I do this. Mm-hmm. So I think there's something there, but I think it's probably more complex than just blood type.
Yeah. And it's, again, when we're talking or working with someone on a clinical basis, right, we're trying to do what's clinically relevant for where they're at based on their health case, their history, and of course, keeping in mind all of those factors together. And so I feel like it makes sense to me for some people where they might say, yeah, that does feel better for me too. And, we get that a lot, like with food sensitivities or other things like, oh, does this mean like can never have this again, or that food doesn't work for me? And absolutely, if something is giving someone symptoms that we don't want, we want to bring relief to the body too. But we always are trying to explain that we want to take a clinical approach to help heal the body and address those different issues too. And sometimes it may not line up perfectly with what you've known from something like this, or, other areas that you've looked, or other things that you've tried too. Doesn't mean that can't work though too.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Andrea?
I mean, I've had some people, to your point, that have said, oh yeah, it's made me feel better when I do avoid certain things. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, well, is that just because of your gut health? Because I'm looking at your gut test and it's pretty gnarly and you need some enzymes. So it's, to me, I don't want to discredit it. I don't want to discount it. There's not enough evidence, but I've also had some patients that, and you guys have seen this, where they've done it and it did nothing for them. And they're like, it did. And those are mostly people who were already doing a lot. And so now they're kind of like vacillating within the healthy realm to try and find what works for them. I wouldn't say anybody has felt worse on it. Mm-hmm. I would just say that, again, anecdotally, sometimes it didn't do anything at all.
I would say another thing to think about is like someone that's iron deficient, but they have a blood type that would prescribe in the book to eat more plant-based. Like, it's like, yeah, they could supplement. Yes, they can get more like plant-based iron sources, but we know it's not the most bioavailable. No. And people that are on plant-based diets are more prone to iron deficiency. Yeah. So I just think it has limitations, and that's okay. A lot of different ways of doing things have limitations and understanding, and that's the art and science of being well, and that's what we love to explore on the podcast. From timeline standpoint, researchers have determined that blood types began for immune system function, like immune system adaptation, not agricultural changes, which is what the researcher was postulating, is that blood types emerged due at least largely because of agricultural changes. But even if you think about that the way we see diet today isn't the way that humans would have eaten. They would have eaten based on availability and sort of eating locally.
And in most cultures, it was still geared towards around the same things. Like, you may have had different berries, you may have had different animals, but
whole foods.
You were still eating real whole foods. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Hopefully you get our take on that.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys want to learn more about our clinical work, the Telehealth Center, lots of free resources. You can really search any health topic you want at drwilco.com. I probably have written about it. So you can learn more at drwilco.com. We'll see you next time.